and welcome back. This is Pratibha Patil.
Today we are going to revise
Second topic in history, and that is sources of history. Dear students, as we know, the number of objects used by our ancestors still exist. Some inscriptions from the past have been recorded. Sources like this help us to understand the history. History can be learnt through different customs, traditions, folk arts, folk literature, as well we can say the historical documents. So all these are known as sources of history. These are of three types: material source, written source and oral source. Material source, written source and oral source. So let's see one by one in detail. Material sources. Man uses a variety of things in his day-to-day life. They are known as artifacts. Artifacts used by human in the past provide us the valuable information in the life of the ancient time. We decide the period of ancient artifacts like earthen pots by studying the shape, color and design of the ancient potters. The ornaments and the other artifacts throw the light on the social interaction. We get the information about the diet of the people from the remains of food grain, seeds and bones of animals which found in the excavations. Also, we find the remains of houses and buildings built in the different historical periods. We also find ancient coins and seals, and all this gives us the information about the human activities in the past time. All such artifacts, articles and monuments or their ruin are called material sources of history. Next, written sources. Stone Age people have recorded many events and expressed their emotions in the paintings on the rocks. It was only after thousands of years that man learned the art of writing. In the beginning, humans used symbols and signs to record their thoughts and ideas. However, it took thousands of years for the script to develop from this. In the beginning, man wrote on potters and baked bricks using the pointed objects. He also used birch tree bark to write on. As his experience and knowledge increased, he began to write in different ways. He began to record the events that took place around him. Accounts of the proceeding of the royal courts were also written systematically. Many rulers had their orders, decisions, donations, etc. inscribed on the stone or the copper plates. Over a period of time, many forms of literature developed. They included in books on the religions and the social subjects, plays, poetry, travel goes, and the scientific works. All these literature help us to understand the history of the various historical periods. All the sources are known as the written source of history. Next, oral sources. Ovies, folk songs, folk tales and similar literature is passed on the form generation to generation by the word of mouth. This literature is not available in the written form. Its authors are unknown. This type of literature preserved by the oral traditions, and these forms are known as the oral sources of history.
Based on this topic, questions can be asked like that. Answer in one sentence. In the past, what materials were used for writing? In the past, what materials were used for writing? Answer. In the past, materials like potters, unbaked bricks, bark of birch trees and copper plates were used for writing. Next, what information is obtained from Vedic literature? Answer. We come to know of life of man and ancient Indian history from the Vedic literature. Next, which literature is preserved by oral tradition? Answer. Ovies, folk songs, folk tales and similar literature is preserved by oral traditions. Next type of question. Classify the following sources as material, written and oral sources. Here some historical sources given. We have to divide it. Material sources, pottery, beads and stupa. Written sources, copper plates, travel goods, inscriptions and oral sources, folk tales and ovies. Like this, different type of questions can be asked on this topic.
Let's know little more about the sources of ancient Indian history.
Material sources are divided into two parts, artifacts and structural remains. Artifacts, rock, paintings, pottery, terracotta, ornaments, sculpture, metal objects, coins, weapons, and in the structural remains it will come caves, houses, stupas, rock cuts, temples, churches, pillars, etc. Next, written sources. Inscriptions on Harappan sills, Vedic literature, then we can say manuscript copies of Mahabharata, Ramayana, like that. Jain and Buddhist literature, different travel goods, books on grammar, Puranas and inscriptions. Next, oral sources. The Vedic, Buddhist and Jain literature of ancient India was preserved by the oral tradition. As well, like this ovies and folk song also is available in the oral sources.